Okay, Wildcat. Today we're looking at journal page 8, horizontal transformations. So when f of x equals negative a, parentheses negative b, times x minus h, parentheses plus k. Okay, we're looking at specifically the horizontal transformation, which is the h here. So if it's plus h, it translates left. If it's minus h, it translates right. Okay, so if you would finish up your notes. All right, now your notes are completed. Let's take a look at the examples. All right, horizontal transformation, journal page 8. Example 1, graph g of x by translating f of x 2 units to the right. Okay, you'll notice I have a table here that corresponds to the points of this function f of x. Okay, so here we have negative 2, negative 1, 0, 2, 2, 1. Okay, now let's look at the domain. Okay, the domain would be from left to right. So negative 1, negative 2. So now that's a closed circle. So bracket negative 2, 2, 2, open circle, close parentheses, not parentheses. Okay, now range is from bottom to top. So you see here the bottom is negative 1. It's a closed circle, so bracket, negative 1, 2. You notice that's a closed circle to 2, bracket. Okay, now let's look at the function g of x, which will be the transformation. Okay, now to get the points, we need to translate it 2 units to the right. Now, when you move it 2 units to the right, you're adding 2 to the x value because the x value is a horizontal and the g of x is the vertical, okay? So we're going to add 2 to each of the x values. So negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. And 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay? So let's graph those points. So 0, negative 1. Okay? And then 2, 2, so 2, 2, and then 4, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's an open circle. Okay, so you can see from the graph that the graph moved to the right 2 units. Okay, now let's look at what that effect had on the domain. Well, now you'll notice the domain is bracket 0 to 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm sorry, that's parentheses because it's open circle. So you can see here that it moved both of these values 2 units to the right. Okay, but if you look at the range, it's still bracket negative 1 to 2. The graph only moved to the right. So it affected the domain, but it did not affect the range. Okay, so finish up example 1. Oh, and almost forgot to coordinate this color. So you can see that this goes with that graph and this goes with that graph. Okay. All right, let's take a look at example 2. All right, example 2. Graph g of x by translating f of x 2 units to the left. Okay. Now, one of the things I like doing in math is connecting things. You'll notice I did to the right here, so it makes sense if we're talking about transformations to go right, and then the next step would be to go left so we can see the difference. Okay. All right, so you can see here I have the points corresponding to this graph here. So negative 3, negative 2, negative 2, 0, negative 1, negative 2, 0, negative 4, and 1, negative 2. Now let's look at the domain. Now domain's from left to right, so it looks like we go left 1, 2, 3, but it's open circle, so parentheses, negative 3. If we go to the right, 1, closed circle, so that's 1 bracket. And then the range, it looks like we're going from negative 4, so that's bracket negative 4, to 0, bracket. Okay, now let's take a look at the graph. Now, the table is going to be affecting the x value, okay, because if we're moving left to right, it affects the x value, okay. The g of x values are going to be the same. So negative 2, 0, negative 2, negative 4, negative 2. Those are going to stay the same because we're only moving the graph left. Now, if we go left, we're subtracting. So that's negative 3, minus 3, which is negative 6. Negative 2 minus, oh, wait a second. What did I say? It says 2 units. Easy fix. Minus 2. So negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. And 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So now let's graph the new points. Okay, so negative 5, negative 2. So negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 2. Negative 4, 0. So negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. Negative 3, negative 2. So negative 1, 2, 3, negative 2. And then negative 2, negative 4. So negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then negative 1, negative 2. So you can see here, we translated the function 2 units to the left. Okay, so now let's look what effect that has on the domain. So here we go negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So parentheses, negative 5. And let's see, we know we moved it to the left 2 units. So if we subtract 2 from 1, it should get negative 1. Let's see if that's true. So negative 1, bracket. And you see here that the range never changed because we only should translate the graph left. So the range is still bracket negative 4 to 0 bracket. All right, if you would, go ahead and finish up example 2. All right. Now, again, this is one of those few times that both Algebra 2 and Advanced Algebra 2 are going to do the second example page. So let's all go follow along on this, okay? Horizontal transformations, general page 8. Example 3, graph g of x equals parentheses x minus 3 squared and state the transformation. Now, what you'll see here is what I've graphed is the parent function. When we talk about transformations, we're talking about them based on the parent function, okay? So I've graphed the parent function here of x minus 3 squared, which is f of x equals x squared, okay? Now, I'm going to do a little differently this time. We're going to actually, we know we're going minus 3, we go back to our notes. So we know that when it's minus h, we're translating right, okay? So we're going to move the graph, this graph 3 units to the right, okay? So let's take each point and move it to the right, okay? So here, take this point, we go to the right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that point is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 4. Okay, and then here we go again. 1, 2, 3. And that point is 2, 1. Notice that we're adding 3 to the x value, but the f of x value is staying the same. Okay, so then 1, 2, 3. So that point is 3, 0. And then 1, 2, 3. And so that point is 4, 1. And then 1, 2, 3. And that point is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 4. Okay. Now let's look at the domain and range of each. Okay. Now the domain of a quadratic is always negative infinity to positive infinity. So this is again the domain of the parent function x squared. Now the range starts at 0 and goes to infinity, so that's bracket 0 to infinity. Now let's see what the transformation has effect on the domain and range. So here now, even though we shifted it to the right 3 units, it's still going infinite in directions in both, so the domain is still negative infinity to positive infinity. And the range is bracket 0 to infinity. So in this case, it didn't change the domain and range. Okay, so if we'd go and finish up example 3. All right, let's take a look at example 4. Graph g of x equals the absolute value of x plus 3 and state the transformation. Okay, so let's first get the points from the parent function f of x equals the absolute value of x. Well, that point is 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2. And I could have kept going 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, but I think these are enough points. Okay. Now domain. Let's take a look at the domain of the parent function. Well, it's going in the infinite direction, in both directions. So the domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. And then the range, we can see here, it starts at 0, including 0, and goes to infinity. So bracket 0 to infinity. Okay. Now let's take a look at the transformation. Okay. Now in this case, we have a plus 3, and we know from our notes, plus 3 is translating left. Okay. So now we're going to move each of these points left 3. So 1, 2, 3. And so that point is now 5, 2. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me take a step back. I made a mistake here. This point right here is negative 2, 2. And this point is negative 1, 1. Okay. So now this point would be negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. So negative 5, 2. Notice that it went 3 units to the left on the x, but the g of x didn't change because, again, we're only going horizontal. And x is horizontal, and the g of x and f of x are the vertical. Okay. So now our next point is we go 1, 2, 3. So that point is negative 4, 1. And then the next point is 1, 2, 3. And that's negative 3, 0. And then this point is 1, 2, 3. So that's negative 2, 1. And then the last point is 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 2. So you can see here that each of these x values was subtracted by 3, and the g of x stayed the same. Okay, so now let's look at the domain and range. Okay, now the domain, again, still infinite in both directions. So that's negative infinity to positive infinity. And then the range is still bracket 0 to infinity. All right, so if you would, go ahead and finish up your examples. And then start working on your myhrw.com assignment and your Khan Academy SAT prep. And have a wonderful Wildcat day.